welcome back to the Try You channel, where we don't give a shit what you had for dinner. I'm Rob.
I'm Neil.
Stefana just walked away, but that's her favorite part of the videos, and we got it in. Today we're going to move on with our top 10 list. Well, I should say tryu.com, movies, books, music. You'll come out and fill out your favorites and movies, books, music, connect with other users, and find new stuff daily. What we're talking about is our 10 favorite book adaptations into movies. And my number 10 was Factotum, a Bukowski book on the film starring not Matt Damon, but Matt Dillon. And, one of my favorite books ever, right up there with my favorite 2 or 3 writers, and a great movie version. My number 9 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and it's a great movie. And I'd seen the movie first, long before I'd ever read the book, and it's Milos Forman. He directed Man on the Moon, several others. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest might be his most famous. It won Academy Awards, I know that. Jack Nicholson's just great. Danny DeVito has a minor role as a crazy person, and he's just great in it. He just sits there like this. This is how we're going to win our money back. But it's the great comedy. It's really it's serious subject matter. Nurse Ratched is one of the best villains. If I have a top 10 villain list, which we probably need to do, I think she'll be in it.
Oh, that'll be good.
Such a passive.
They just made a series about her, I think. I haven't.
Yeah,
watched it.
If it wasn't supposed to be based on that, I would say it's pretty good. It doesn't measure up. You want I don't know. Maybe they're going to do more with it.
I think in the Dharma Bums are naked. I just read something where it talked about how Ken Kesey was going to do these studies, getting paid little bits of money where they'd give him LSD.
Oh yeah.
And then he just started taking a bunch of it from the place and sharing it with all his buddies and stuff. But I think I haven't read that book, and it's been so long since I've seen the movie. But I think they based some of it on the experiences he had.
I was going to say that, yeah. And I think it's I've always said Ken Kesey, and I think it's Ken Kesey, right?
I don't know.
I don't either. I've always said Ken Kesey, and now I think recently I've heard him say Ken Kesey. Anyway, that guy, great writer.
Oh boy.
He got the idea I read a long time ago. For the narrator in the book is Chief Broom, is what they call him, and he's got a pretty big role in the movie, but nothing like he does in the book. But Kesey had a job at a night janitor at an insane asylum.
Okay, yeah.
And he was taking acid. And that's where he came up with the idea. I can't imagine taking acid in an insane asylum. I would be scared to take acid at Kroger. That would be an experience. That makes me feel nervous. Just thinking about just coffee makes me feel nervous. And I was thinking about a crazy person when I saw this was number 9 on my list, and I told my daughter a PG version of this. I didn't mention the Nazi part, but I used to work at an antique mall when I was 19 or 20. Me and about 5 of my friends, one of my friends got up in management there somehow, and he just hired a lot of us, and of course a lot of us got fired. But I won't go into that too much, other than this guy that came up, and I had a name tag on that said Rob. It was right there, you couldn't miss it. And he would always come up to me, and a fat, probably about 40-year-old, short, fat dude, real stout, and he always wanted to know if we had any Nazi stuff in. And I don't know if they still sell this, but they used to have Nazi helmets and like a Nazi plate from American Beauty. And this guy would come up and he took to me, always come to me and ask for me and say, "Hey Ron, got any of that Nazi stuff in, man?" And I always felt like I couldn't tell him. I never told him, "Hey, why you?" I never asked him, "Why are you into this? I don't really agree."
Why are you calling me Ron?
Yeah, well, I liked that part of it. Everybody started calling me Ron for a couple of years after that, but. I liked it that I had my name tag on, and he just kept calling me Ron. But one time I must have been, I was probably really hungover, and he noticed, and he's like, "Hey Ron, something wrong?" And I was like, "I went to a party last night, there was a keg there." "Oh," and he's like, "There's a keg." And I was like, "Yeah," and we're standing there, and this is a public place, and there was a busy place back then. And he just kind of spaces out, and he turns around and said, "You get any pussy?" I just started laughing. And, he didn't. And it ended up being every time he'd come in, everybody that was working with me would scatter and just make me deal with this guy. And I just remember, I'll never forget, "Hey, Ron, you're going to need Nazi stuff." he was crazy. Not on the level of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's. Maybe on that level. I mean, if you're buying Nazi shit, there's something weird about you. But I'll let you move on to your list. Did you get any pussy?
Number 10 for me was Great Expectations, which was one of the first books I read on my own choosing, not for an assignment, when I was younger or anything.
Speaking of pussy, that was a real pussy thing to do, read that book.
It was. And number 9 for me, The Outsiders. That one actually was an assignment. 7th grade, we had to read that and do a report on it. And I knew there was a movie out.
7th or 8th grade, we had to read it.
So,
that's one I did read. Still on the copy.
So I chose to do that, not chose, but was chosen for me. And I remember when we were in 7th grade in that class, my buddy Gabe, he was telling me about his dog named Chewbacca. They called it the dog Chewy. Was in heat and kept trying to hump his leg. And he was asking me if he thought it'd be okay if he should I let it hump my leg and should I
let it go to completion? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Should I let
trying
it hump my leg?
Trying to get me laugh in class and stuff. And that was and then so the book was all right. I skimmed through the book. I don't remember.
I love the book.
I don't remember at that time going back and rereading it. I liked it a lot more.
Reread it.
But finding out that the author S.E. Hinton wrote it when she was a teenager, and that was really cool. And then the movie, I loved the movie, and it's Francis Ford Coppola, Matt Dillon, not Damon, Ralph Macchio, C. Thomas Howell, Patrick Swayze. Just a lot of these guys went on to be huge stars. Tom Cruise and Emilio Estevez and Diane Lane was
Cherry. Right?
Cherry, and it was the Socias versus the Greasers, I think
and
they
Greasers.
called them. And the huge fight where they got chains and
I only had one
switchblades
problem with the Soch and Greaser thing because the Socias like the Beatles and the Greasers like the Rolling Stones. And I wanted to be a Greaser, but I like the Beatles much better, still do.
Yeah,
and that always bothered me about that. And it always bothered me that I couldn't wear a jacket like Matt Dillon. Dally.
Yeah.
Without my shirt on, I'd look like a piece of shit. But he looks pretty cool doing it. That's a look. If I could have a look, I think that's one I would take on.
I think you can bring it back.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. I remember when he says glory 2-bit. 2-bit's Emilio Estevez, right?
Yeah, yeah. And one of my favorite parts of the movie was where he's watching cartoons, eating a chocolate cake, drinking a Budweiser instead of going to school. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes you want to, almost, you think that lifestyle's glorious, but it's really, when you look back on it, it's terrible.
It's good for a few minutes.
Anything else to add to that? I still remember like the opening line when I first stepped out of the darkness from the movie theater or something like that into the bright sunlight. It's a great way to open a book. I've never read any more of her stuff.
I haven't either. And I'm surprised it gets such a low score on here, the movie.
The movie, yeah. I love the movie, but I watched it when I was a kid. A ton. I haven't really rewatched it as an adult. If you can call me an adult, that's definitely call me a pussy for reading that book. But I'd go back and watch. He did another. This Rumblefish, I think, was maybe her book too. I know he directed that, and that's one I need to go back to.
I haven't read that, but that book or that movie's cool. Black and white.
That's Ford Coppola, right? Francis Ford Coppola, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Check it out. Do we need to talk about any more on The Outsiders? You get that pretty much in?
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, well, check out The Outsiders. Check out One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, both the book or the movie. And if you're a pussy, read the book. See you later.